So let's say like just opted in to get everything at once.
Um,
What would happen? Would I achieve enlightenment?
Some points you don't want to get needled necessarily just for fun. Like what I mean, literally, there's a point like in every part of the body, including parts that are more sensitive than others. So, for example, like the eyes, you can put a needle there. The perineum, even the genitals, like so, you don't
I would
necessarily
never want a needle in my
that.
eye.
Yeah, it's right there, and if you relax, there we go.
Oh yeah, I could feel where the needle would go straight through.
So there's an arc you could kind of feel right over there. So the way you needle this is to the bone. You would go sideways, and this opens up respiratory passages. Yeah, it sounds kind of, you can feel it. I mean, because it's kind of bony already.
Yeah.
Can I come in?
Yes, you may.
Hi, JJ.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I'm Hiraya. Nice to meet you. So, thank you so much for volunteering to be our model for the acupuncture.
No problem at all. Anytime.
Today, we're going to be covering two acupuncture channels called meridians. One is the Lung Channel, and then the other one is the channel that's partnered up with that, which is the large intestine channel.
Okay.
Surprisingly, none of these, well, they're all in your arm, so the large intestine is actually not in your abdomen, but it's along the arm. It's interesting because
I never knew that.
yeah, in Chinese medicine, the meridians travel from the organs, so it does start off from its original organ, but then they end up along your arms or your legs. So although we're talking about lungs and large intestine, they can be found in other parts of your body. So there's different organs like the heart and small intestine. So each, in Chinese medicine, everything operates under the concept of yin and yang. Have you ever heard of those two terms?
Yeah, I have a lot of times before.
Yeah, if you watch Kung Fu Panda or something.
Yeah, it's referenced in a lot of media, yeah.
Yeah, so the yin and yang is usually represented by the dai chi, which is the circle of half is like white with a dot, with a black dot, and then the other portion is black with a white dot, representing balance and harmony in our universe. So similarly, in Chinese medicine, the organs themselves are paired with a yin organ, in this case the lung, and then a yang organ, which is the small intestine. The yin organ, which is the lung, unlike in Western medicine, which is only responsible for breathing and respiration and making sure we get oxygen in our body, in Chinese medicine, it does that too, but it also does other things like store certain emotions like grief and sadness tend to affect the lungs, which is why sometimes when you're feeling either anxious or sad, it could be hard to breathe when you're crying. And, you know, if you've ever had that experience of hyperventilating.
Yeah, we sort of get a little choked up. Yeah.
Kind of like what's happening to me right now. I'm nervous. So, yeah, one of the ways you can deal with that is just to slow down the respiration. And you could kind of see how both the physical aspect, the breath, is related to the emotional and the physical aspect. So Chinese medicine is kind of holistic in that way, where it tries to integrate everything, like the whole, not just in just separate pieces. Yeah.
Okay, it's a pretty beautiful way of looking at it from medicine and like in terms of your whole like body in general. That's nice.
Yeah, and each organ is also associated with an element and a season. So in Chinese medicine, there's 5 elements related to 5 seasons, if you may. The lung is associated with the metal element. And so if you've seen like that TV show Avatar, you know how they have the fire, water. Yeah, something like that, although they've simplified it more. So the metal element is kind of like the earthy element. It's very solid, yet at the same time very malleable, is oftentimes associated in the autumn. And if you think about it, this is when we also start to get a lot of respiratory infections. Like, it's quite common because the change of season to a more warmer to a colder one generally affects the lungs first. So that's one way to look at it. And hopefully you'll be our model for the other the traditional Chinese medicine organ system, so you could learn about how we're going to move from the lung, which is the autumn, to winter, which is the kidneys, spring, liver, wood. So yeah, hopefully the audience will capture that.
Yeah, it sounds fun.
Yeah, so the reason why we're doing the lung today is because we did a full, like a Western approach of respiratory assessment. So I thought it'd be good to partner it up with traditional Chinese medicine approach to the respiratory system. So if you haven't checked that video out, it's available on the Medical ASMR playlist, and you can watch all of the Medical ASMR videos. So thanks again, JJ, for being our model.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Are you ready to start?
Yeah, of course.
Perfect. Alright, JJ, so we have roughly around 360 acupuncture points in the body.
Oh, wow.
So today we're going to just do a few of them. I have my book here to help us. And how it's going to work is we're going to just locate them into your arm, if that's okay. At some point you may be required to expose your upper body because some of the points are located in the chest and in the shoulder area. And yeah, as I said, we're going to be doing the lung channel, which runs on the outer portion of the arm, and then the large intestine, which runs on the inner portion of the arm. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, good. So while we're doing that, I'm going to explain what each and every point does in traditional Chinese medicine kind of language. So maybe I'll just place this somewhere here where we can kind of see. You can put your arm over it, but there we go. Alright, so we're going to start with the lung channel. Okay, so the lung actually starts out at where the lungs are, which are over here. So maybe this would be a good time for us to remove your shirt.
Sure.
Alright, I could just place this over here. And, okay, so lung 1. Okay, so lung 1 is located. Okay, so first, before we look at lung 1, there's actually landmarks that we can look at. So the landmark. Okay, so it's 8 chin. Okay, so 8 and lung 1. Okay, so 6 soon lateral to the anterior midline in the first intercostal space, 1 cin below lung 2 in the deltopectoral groove. Okay, so this, in other words, we should start with lung 2 first, and then it's 1 below. So lung 2 is in the depression below the lateral end of the clavicle, 6 soon lateral to the anterior midline. Okay, so what it's saying here. So we're gonna do it on this one. This is much located. So over here, may I touch your chest?
Yeah.
Actually, let me sanitize my hands to make sure that.
And be careful and ticklish.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, on our chest, there is the manubrium and then the xiphoid process. So I'm just gonna feel this. So this is the sternal notch. Okay, this is the manubrium. Underneath there is your first rib over here, so it should be above the first rib. So if you just relax, and this is your clavicle. Okay, so it should, that's the first rib, so it should be above. Are you okay?
It's tickling.
Okay, so what it's saying here is that it is 8 chin from here to here, so that's 8, and it's asking us 6. It's been a while since I did this. The last time was when I was in China studying acupuncture in 2019. So okay, so it's 8 from the center. So from here to here is 8, so halfway is 4. Halfway of that, 6. Okay, I can feel your pulse. So it actually should be around there. So that is lung 2. Or in this case, we're going to use a sticker. Okay, so I'm just going to place a sticker. Oh, that's lung 2. And then one sun underneath that, just above the, you can feel the rib over here, should be lung 1. So when needling these points, you have to be careful not to puncture the lung. Because that would not be too good.
Doesn't sound too good.
So you have to kind of needle, you have to angle the needle obliquely so it doesn't puncture the lung. So lung 1 here, it says it clears heat, resolves phlegm, relieves pain, moves stagnant lung qi, descends lung qi and relieves coughing, and regulates and tonifies the lung qi and opens the chest. So this is good for someone who is having difficulty breathing, like asthma, wheezing, chest pain. Similarly, lung 2 has a similar function. So we're going to move on to lung 3. So lung 3, as you can see over here, is located onto the arm. Okay, so for lung 3, we're going to use this little booty over here to trace the area. So from here, from the arm, it is, okay, it should be 9 chin. Yeah, so 9 chin from the axillary fold all the way down to lung 5. Okay, so I think the best way to locate this is first locate lung 5. So lung 5 is the Hsi point, water point, and it's on the cubital crease to the radial side of the bicep brachii tendon. This point is located with the elbow slightly flexed. Okay, so I think you're in the correct position because it's slightly flexed. So I'm just gonna take your arm here and supinate it. Okay, do that. Okay, so this is your bicep and this is the tendon. So it's on the radial side, right? Radial side of the bicep. So the radial side is the outer portion. So it'll be, let me just palpate. I need to just kind of relax the, yep, so it's actually there, the outer, so it'll be right here. So that would be lung 5. Alright, it's on the crease. So it says it clears lung heat, descends lung qi, and tonifies lung yin, removes phlegm, relaxes the sinews, relieves pain and benefits the bladder, and regulates water passages. Chinese medicine, the lung is also related to the water. So yeah, again, with cough, sore throat, any pain in the elbow and arm, that is a good point for that. So that's the Hsi point, lung 5. So now we can locate the other 2. So what it's saying is from the axillary fold to here, it's, so these measurements are kind of eyeballed. They are dependent on the anatomy of the person. So you'll always land in kind of a relatively similar position, no matter if someone has a longer arm or bigger arm than you, because we're not measuring by centimeters, but we're measuring based on the person's anatomy. So it says it's divided into 9 equal parts. So from here onwards to here, that's 9. So if we were to stretch that one, okay, so right now it's kind of like at 7. So if we divide it at 9, so what's gonna happen is, so that's 9. Let me just double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, and then that one is 1, 2, 3. Okay, that one is easy because from over here, so 3, 6, 9. So these are 3, 6, 9. So the first one is 3 away, the lung 3. So lung 3, which is reaching distal to the anterior axillary fold, which is right here. On the radial side, meaning on the outer side. Okay, or 6 Jun from lung 5, which is here. So, okay, so why don't we put a sticker there? I could have also asked you to hold the point, so that, but if you feel it, you can kind of feel a little place where you can imagine a needle would go in. Like, all these places, you can even put your hand there and see like where it would nicely kind of, like it's not gonna go towards something like hard, like a bone.
Interesting.
Yeah, they've mapped it out thousands of years ago. And this is where chi travels, you know, like if you've seen Kung Fu Karate Kid, like when they're like directing their chi, like it travels through these meridians.
Yeah, I hear all this talk about chi, but I'm not really quite sure what it really was. Sounds cool though.
Yeah, there's a way later on where I can show you how you actually feel that chi. For now, lung 4 is... Okay, so this is tricky because it's 4 chin. So if this is 3, we need to make it 4. So we already kind of estimated that that's 3, 6, 9. So 4, so 4 and 5. So we have to split this one. So then that's would be where it would go, right there. Yep. So it looks like a nice decoration on the body. So lung 4, similar functions as the other one. Okay, we also want to watch out for certain veins. So we mentioned that you can puncture a lung that's called pneumothorax, where the air in the lung will escape. We don't want that. Over here on the arm, there are arteries and veins. In this case, the cephalic vein travels upward that way, so we want to make sure we don't puncture that as well. So all things to consider when you are doing acupuncture. That's why today we're only doing stickers. Next, we also have a sleeping cat who is, you can probably hear the purring. So lung, okay, this is the next one. So from lung 6, 7, 8, 9. So the best way again is to look for lung 9 first, because lung 9 would be easy to find. Lung 9 is right over here on the radial side. That is the, I'm just gonna bend your arm inwards like that. So this is the, oh, sorry, there's a lot of things going on here. Lung 9 is a source point. So it's actually, if you bend your arm, hand inward, yeah, it's right there. And if you relax, there we go.
Oh yeah, I could feel where the needle would go straight through.
So there's an artery there, the radial artery, that you have to watch out for, because you can actually feel your pulse.
Yeah, I remember way back in health class, they'd show you right here was a common spot to feel it. There and like somewhere like here, something like that. But yeah.
Yeah. So the other cool thing about these points are certain martial arts will target these points because they're a point for example, the sternocleidomastoidal notch is an acupuncture point, but if you strike that, like even right now, like you could feel short of breath just by the pressure.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool that they
incorporate those type of things into martial arts. Wow.
Yeah, so okay, so the lung 8, which is one below it, one chin below, again, so this hole from here to here is should be 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So if there's 12 here, and 6 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay, and 8 is 11. So what we can do, okay, so from here to here is 12, okay, and then we're just gonna divide that into 2, then that makes it 6, right? If this is 6, and or we can, yeah, so 6 plus 6, 12, and then 3, and then from here 3, you can just 1, 1, 2, 3, so we're only looking at 1, so it's actually right there, and you can feel it, that little groove. If you hold that, so I can get the sticker, that's where the second needle would go. So in Chinese medicine, you have 3 pulses on each side, Shen, Guan, Shi. So you take it with 3 fingers. The first one is the lung. So that'll tell you the health of the organ itself, the lung, and the emotions that you're dealing with. Okay, so that's lung 9, that's lung 8. We can locate lung 7. Lung 7, which is a luo connecting point. This is what connects to the large intestine channel, which we're going to do after. And this one is off the channel. So to find this, there's a diagram here that shows this. So what happens if I take your hand and place it here, there's the radius stylet process. It'll be right just before that, right here. And you could kind of feel right over there. So the way you needle this is to the bone. You would go sideways, and this opens up respiratory passages. Yeah, it sounds kind of, you can feel it. I mean, because it's kind of bony already.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's lung 7, we said that. That's lung 7. Yeah, disperses and descends lung qi and moves wei qi, so it's good for the immunity and releases the exterior. It takes away cold in your body. Okay, so we're still left with lung 6 here, which is 5 chin, right? So, it's a qi cleft point, okay, which is about anterior aspect of the forearm, 7 chin proximal to lung 9, okay, or transverse crease of the line. Okay, so 7 or 5. Okay, so if this is 12, okay, and if this is 6, this is 3, 4, 5, right over here. Right there. Okay, that's lung 5, lung 6, which regulates the lung qi, descends the lung qi, relieves the pain and clears heat. Again, it's good for asthma, wheezing, and also pains around the elbow and arm. Okay, so we have, how many do we have for lung? We have 11. Okay, so we already 9. So the next is 10. Okay, so lung 10, which is yin spring point. And to locate this, it says it's on the radial aspect. So there's 2 bones here, the radius and the ulna. You can actually feel like where they part. If you put your hand here, this is the radial side. Like you see the 2 valleys.
Yeah.
So those are your bones. This is the radius, and this is the ulna, and they connect together to the humerus. And over here, your wrist joints. So we're working just on the radial side here. Midpoint of the first metacarpal bone. So that just is this. This is your first. This is the first metacarpal bone of the first finger, the thumb. It's located at the junction of the, where the skin kind of changes color. So midpoint. Okay, so it'll be right there. Oops. No, Lulu, you're not on camera. Lung 10. And lung 11, that's easy to find. It is Jingwell Point. Clears lung heat. So that is located at the outer portion right over here. So this completes the 11 lung, 11 points on the lung meridian. Do you have any questions regarding this? I know it's a lot of information.
No, it's all pretty interesting.
Yeah, so this is where so you have it on both sides, and then they all connect to each other. So
like it's perfectly symmetrical, or?
As long as the person's body is somewhat symmetrical. If the person is asymmetrical, then that would change. It would the measurements will vary based on the size of the other limb. So some people have asymmetrical, but you will find those divots. So for example, this is a good example. Lung 7, you have this bony part, and then it slides down from the bony part. You can feel that as long as that person has a radius, no matter how unequal their proportions are, then you should be able to find it there.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
And you said there's 300 and...
About 360. Yeah.
All, like, individual needles, like, going...
You won't needle all of them
at
once, because that's just too much. You would select certain points and combine them with other ones. So for example, this one is really used a lot. Lung 7. So if someone has, for example, they have allergies, they can't breathe properly, this is one of the points that they'll select, and then they'll probably combine it with other points around the other parts of the body.
Oh, so it's basically based on what the person needs. So
Exactly.
You'd never really... So let's say I just opted in to get everything at once. What would happen? Would I achieve enlightenment?
No. It's almost impossible to do that, because right now you'd have to be levitated. Right? Like in order to access
suspended so you can reach everywhere.
Some points you don't want to get needled necessarily just for fun. Like
unless you need it.
Yeah, because there's literally, like, what I mean, literally there's a point like in every part of the body, including parts that are more sensitive than others. So for example, like the eyes, you can put a needle there. The perineum, even the genitals, like, so you don't necessarily want a needle in my eye. Yeah, you don't want to just needle anything. So actually, in Chinese medicine, needling is one of those more invasive procedures. So they save the needling when the body is stronger and if the person is able to handle it. Oftentimes they rely on lifestyle changes, like just, for example, breathing exercises like Tai Chi or Qigong, and your diet, and then they may introduce some medicinal herbs, and then they usually mix that with the acupuncture. Sometimes you need the acupuncture if, say, you have a shoulder pain, you injured your shoulder, you might do acupuncture and cupping immediately, but for the most part, there's other things, like there's a lot of tools you can use. But it's fun to know them because if you're studying martial arts, that's where the energy is traveling. And not just martial arts, but just in general, going through your day-to-day life, being able to kind of feel where that energy is and how to move it is really useful, because each emotion has an energy. So like if you're feeling anxious or like worried, or if you're feeling sad, like depressed, then that energy tends to travel towards certain parts of your body. Like as I said, with the lungs, it's harder to breathe. So if you're able to move it out of your body through these points, then that's one way you can use them. It's not just a place to needle. And the other thing too is you can use acupressure. So not
Oh,
necessarily
I've heard of
needling,
that.
just pressure. Yeah, so does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So we can move on to the large intestine,